Hello everyone and welcome to our Sciences Po Live broadcast dedicated to the Sciences Po Urban School. My name is Adrien Kenneth and I serve as Marketing and Recruitment Manager at Sciences Po. I am truly delighted that so many of you are able to be with us today, so whichever part of the world you are connected from, welcome to you all and thank you for being with us. We are going to be together for about 30 minutes to give you the most up-to-date information on the Sciences Po Urban School. To do so, several guests are with me, and to start with, in this studio by my side is Tommaso Vitale, Dean of the Sciences Po Urban School. Tommaso, thank you for being with us.
Hello everyone, thank you very much.
And we also have three students and graduates who are with us remotely, three students and graduates from three different programs at the Sciences Po Urban School. Cécile, Rocio, and Clément, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll get back to you in just a few minutes. Last but not least, we also have academic advisor Cyrielle Pelletier with us remotely as well. Thank you, Cyrielle, for being with us. Now, to you viewers who are watching us live on YouTube today, should you have any questions at this point, you can ask any question in the chat module of this YouTube live session. Our guest will be happy to answer some of those questions in the second part of our broadcast. Now let's get started. And my first question goes to Tommaso Vitale. Tommaso, as a start, could you sum up in a few words what the Sciences Po Urban School is all about?
Okay, we have created the Urban School to provide the best education for a new generation of professionals working in cities and regions. Not only cities, also regions. We have now 400 students coming from all over the world. It means that 40% of them are international students. We have 120 teachers, 60 tutors. We work every year with more than 250 partners organizations, meaning private companies, utilities, public companies, local authorities, NGOs, community-based organizations. And we are a human-sized school. We know every student by name and surname. Our master programs are, let's say, between 35 and 80 students. And we train this new generation of professionals to engage, to take responsibility, to steer a fair and sustainable urban future.
A human-sized school training students to understand and governing cities and regions all over the world. Thank you, Tommaso. What are the programs that the Sciences Po Urban School offers?
We have two master's programs in English. Governing the Large Metropolis is a master program dedicated to fast-growing cities in the Global South. Governing Ecological Transitions in European Cities, GETEC, is a master program dedicated to cities in the Global North. We have two master programs in French. One is called Urban and Regional Policies, and the other one is called Urban Planning and Landscape. And then we have 4 double degrees. One is Paris and London with the London School of Economics. It's called Urban Policies. One is Los Angeles and Paris with UCLA, and it's called Global and Comparative Planning and Governance. One it is with Bocconi Universities, Paris and Milan, and it's about international policy management. And one it's new. We are very proud of this one. It is with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, the School of Habitat. It's 1 year in Paris, 1 year in Mumbai on global urban development.
So 2 master's programs offered in English, 2 master's programs offered in French, and 4 international dual degrees in London, the United States, Italy, and a brand new one that will open in the 2024 intake in India. Thank you, Tommaso. Now, the Sciences Po Urban School obviously is not the only university that trains in urban policies. What distinguishes the Sciences Po Urban School from other universities that offer programs in the same fields?
Firstly, multidisciplinarity. We are really strongly rooted in social sciences. So we provide a foundational education with urban and regional economics, with law and planning, with urban history, with urban sociology, and with political science. Secondly, we combine the best of knowledge coming from research with the best of knowledge coming from professional experience of practitioner. Thirdly, we combine a training driven into classrooms and workshop with a training driven through collective inquiry and fieldwork. Then, let me say something that we really care. We provide to our students an education so that they can evolve all along their career. So specialization, yes, a lot, but also foundation. So to be able to change of sector, to change of cities, to evolve in their future career. And then let me say that what is at the heart of our intellectual program is a vibrant environment to understand governance, urban governance. And it's not only to study Paris and French regulation. We are deeply comparative. So the fact that we realize study trips, collective inquiries, case studies, teamwork, it is also to help and support students to compare, to understand what is similar and what is different in urban settings.
So a school with a very strong international comparative approach. Thank you, Tommaso. Now, many of our viewers on YouTube today are probably and hopefully prospective students, future applicants and future students at the Sciences Po Urban School. What is a typical international urban school applicant? What type of students are you looking for?
Firstly, our school has a keyword: diversity, variety. So our students are coming from very different academic backgrounds: political science, sociology, law, engineering, architecture, but also art science, also biology, variety and diversity of lifestyles, of backgrounds. And if I have to say, the international side is also provided by the fact that what these people have in common is a passion, an engagement to take responsibility, whatever the sector they want to look at. Mobility and transportation, water and sewage, housing, the ecological transition, the digital transition, the management of public spaces, the public health in cities. This is what they have in common. All the rest is very, very, very diverse. And pluralism is at the heart of our project.
A school that is very diverse and that welcomes students from all over the world and from all academic backgrounds. Now let's have a word with Clément. Clément, thank you for being with us. You are with us remotely. You are a Master in Governing the Large Metropolis 2021 graduate, and you currently work as Junior Program Officer for Urban Resilience at the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR, in São Paulo, Brazil. You did the Master Governing the Large Metropolis in English that Tommaso mentioned. Could you tell us what the program is about and maybe a favorite class you had?
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from São Paulo. It's a pleasure to join you for this event. So key to the GLM program is the comparative study of global south cities. We study the governance arrangement and the policies that those fast developing cities put in place to deal with urban development challenges. In relation with the classes, we have a large variety of classes to choose from so that we can tailor our formation according to the policy issues and the geographies that most interest us. So in my case, I entered the program with a strong interest in climate action and development policies, So my favorite classes were related to topics of sustainability, the geography of urban infrastructure, the development of basic services in informal settlements. Those are the classes that are helping me the most today in my profession.
Clément, Tommaso mentioned how fieldwork is at the very heart of the Sciences Po Urban School. An important component of academia are study trips, during which students of a cohort delve into the economic, social, environmental, and cultural issues of a city. Could you tell us about the study trip you did in Mexico City during your studies at Sciences Po?
Yes, so the study trips are week-long collective field research. The entire cohort of the program goes together to study some urban development issues in a city. So in my case, in 2019, we went to Mexico City recently after the election of a new mayor from an unprecedented political party. So we wanted to know how this political change had affected public policies. So before going to Mexico, we had desk review. We mentioned Mexico as a case topic in our classes. And then in Mexico City, we interviewed a series of actors that are engaged in local policymaking. And in my case, I got to interview NGOs and international organizations mobilized in sustainability and disaster recovery, because Mexico City had gone through an earthquake a few years before that. It was very interesting.
Great, Clément. Now, the master governing the large metropolis led you to work at the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR. Could you give us a word about the position you hold today? What is your daily work like?
Yes, so my main responsibility is to support the implementation of urban resilience actions of UNDRR in the Americas and the Caribbean. So the flagship initiative is the Making Cities Resilient 2030 initiative, and I act as focal point for South American countries. So this includes frequent travels to Uruguay, cities in Brazil, Ecuador, Panama as well, where our regional office is based, to deliver capacity building workshops to national and local officials in topics of climate resilience, risk reduction, and as well supporting the monitoring of our actions, of our budget, etc., etc.
Clément, you mentioned academia, you mentioned study trips, you mentioned your position today at UNDRR. How, in São Paulo, Brazil, how did your studies at the urban school contribute to the building of your professional project?
Well, in many ways, actually. I think, first of all, the international dimension of the JLM program is very fit for international cooperation careers or international development careers. I entered the world of risk management as an urban expert. I know that my field of activity may not be as traditional as other students of the program, but I realized that urban policies are everywhere and are needed in all sectors. All sectors need our expertise as urban specialists. So I would really recommend students that want to go in the field of international cooperation to look at those other sectors and look how they act at the local level, how they act at the city level, because there are many opportunities with the urban school to meet those actors and understand how to contribute to their work, whether being public health, security, or risk reduction, like I'm doing.
Urban policies are everywhere in every sector. Thank you very much, Clément, for your testimonial. Now, Tommaso, Clément took us to São Paulo, Brazil. All graduate students at Sciences Po study on the Sciences Po campus in Paris. A new campus was inaugurated in 2022. Could you give us a word about the new Sciences Po campus in Paris?
Yeah, we enter into this amazing new campus in January 2022. And it's really nearby Le Louvre. It means Paris downtown. It's really at the heart of the Paris metropolitan region. And this is important for people studying urban dynamics. We are in a very urban campus. We are not segregated from the flows of the city. And you see it. the daily life is in the campus is an interesting, rich, generative kind of meetings between researchers, professionals, alumni, and students. It's a vibrant environment. We study the city, and in a way we enjoy the city, being part of the urban life, and we use the city to steer our education.
A vibrant community at the very heart of the capital of France, Paris. Now, a word on the international dimension of the urban school. You mentioned a few facts: international dual degrees, international field trips. What are other international dimensions of the Sciences Po Urban School?
Thank you. In fact, I will say that beyond figures, beyond double degrees, beyond what is at stake is that every workshop, every studio, every course, it is related to a comparison among cities in different countries. This is really our scope. We think that the international dimension and the pedagogical tools of comparing cities is something that today is needed, and it is a must. Without comparison, just looking at one single case study, we cannot understand the reasons why there are problems. We cannot have the creativity and innovation to look for solutions. So I will say I'm just back with a group of 24 students from Delhi, where we were doing a collective inquiry on the metropolization of the city. And just now there are a group of 30 and more students in urban planning and landscape that are in Naples to study resiliency and how Naples is facing big stakes of risk management. It's not only going, it's the fact that we learn to take into consideration an international dimension.
So you were in Delhi last week with a group of students, and some students are in Naples, Italy this week. So a school with a very strong international comparison dimension. Thank you. Now let's have a word on innovation in teaching methods. An important component of the school is real-world practical experience. Could you tell us about those experiences?
So, innovation, how to explain how we try to innovate our pedagogy and our way of teaching. Let's think for just a minute to what are at stake today in urban projects. We have to reduce pollution, we have to reduce the carbon impact, and at the same time, we have to deliver affordable housing, services, utilities. It's very complex. So innovation for us is asking a very serious question. Who is a good manager for urban project? It happens to be someone who has some kind of skills. It has to be able to understand the political logics, power relations, power configurations. It has to be able to understand the spatial dynamics. It has to be able to understand and talk very technical languages of different professionals. It has to be able to coordinate, to steer, to negotiate. We start from reality and we design the skills to support. We start from reality to support students to be able to face the real world, not models, and make the differences in the real world. We start from reality to understand what skills are needed, and we train students to immediately take position in the city. Our students work, and part of their work is published, because it's not only how they appropriate and learn knowledge, it's also how they contribute to public knowledge.
Thank you very much, Tommaso. Now let's have a word with Rocio. Rocio, you are a 2023 graduate from the Master Governing Ecological Transition in European Cities. You are originally from Spain, where you did your undergraduate studies in architecture at the Technical University of Madrid, UPM. And you are currently doing a PhD at School of Urbanism, École des Ponts in Paris. What is the Master Governing Ecological Transition in European Cities about? What did you enjoy most about it? We can't hear you, Rocio. I think your microphone is off. There you
Sorry.
go. There you go.
So apologies. Hi, everybody online. Indeed, I just finished governing the ecological transition of European cities last June in 2023. The GTEC Master it's a mix between urban policy, European governance, and a multidisciplinary approach to ecological transition. I think this multidisciplinary approach is quite innovative as a master program, and it's part of what I enjoyed the most, together with something Tommaso just mentioned when he was answering some questions right before, which is that the fact that this master gives really a methodological skills for exploring comparative research in cities afterwards, which I think is key and parallel to all the masters in the urban school.
Now, Tommaso told us how backgrounds of students are diverse, that students at the urban school come from all academic backgrounds. Your background is pretty technical since you did your undergraduate studies in architecture at the Technical University of Madrid. How did you first hear about the urban school and what made you want to apply?
Yes, indeed. I studied in the Polytechnic University, so it was all about maths and physics. After graduating, I worked for a couple of years as an urbanist. But since urbanism is such a transdisciplinary discipline, I was always having the feeling that I was lacking something for having just a very technical background. So I came to the idea that I wanted to engage in a social science urbanism master. I did some research about this. I think some people at my office in the Netherlands mentioned LSE and Sciences Po as good universities of social science in urban matters. And delving into them, I found that Sciences Po had this master in ecological transition that completely got my attention.
And you did the research track of the Master Governing Ecological Transition in European Cities, which is designed for students who wish to pursue doctoral studies after their masters. Could you tell us how this track is different from a regular master track?
Yes, I did the research track. Is something that is parallel to the different masters of the urban school. It's quite challenging. If you engage in it, you have to engage from the beginning, almost from the beginning of your master, and then from the second semester on, you actually combine your master program with some extra classes, especially for methodological disciplines. And you actually join the doctoral school of Sciences Po, which is quite interesting. You go to classes with students that are in other types of masters that are a lot more research focused. So this is the first part of how the research track develops. The second part is that instead of an internship in the fourth semester, as your other colleagues will do, you will actually have to develop a master thesis. And for that, the school really encourages you to go abroad. So for GTEC, usually you go to European cities. It's the focus of the program. But for GLM, for example, you go to generally global south context. And you spend there between 2, 3, 4 months doing research fieldwork to come back and create this master thesis. And what is key from that is that it allows you to parallelly to developing this master thesis, start developing your research, your PhD project, which is what I did. And this helps you to finish the master and engage in a PhD program right after.
Which you did right after your master's. You're engaged in a PhD at engineering school École des Ponts in Paris. What is your research, your PhD research on?
Exactly, I'm in the École des Ponts, and I'm managing to mix again a bit of the technical background that I had with all this social science, but not only, with this multidisciplinary approach that Sciences Po actually teaches you, which is something that I discovered through these 2 years. Which is much more than only social science. They merge an approach to the ecological transition that mixes technical matters, finance, law, all of this. So I'm using all of that to study the transformation of social housing from a comparative perspective. So also this comes from this Sciences Po comparative intentions. And I'm studying it between Italy and Paris. So between Rome and Paris, actually. And what is interesting, maybe, it's that I'm doing it also as an industrial collaboration with a company, with an urban design company. So this is allowing me to work at the same time as developing my PhD. So I keep a foot in professional development as well.
So you have a foot in an engineering school and another foot in a private company. Thank you very much, Rocio. Thank you so much for your testimonial. Now let's have a word with Cyrielle Pelletier, who is with us remotely as well. Hello, Cyrielle. You are academic advisor for the two master's programs taught in English at the Sciences Po Urban School, the master governing the large metropolis and governing ecological transition in European cities. Thank you for being with us. First question is about professional life. How does the Sciences Po Urban School prepare its students for professional life?
Thanks, Andrea, and hello to all our viewers worldwide. To answer your question, as Tommaso have already a little bit explained, professionalization is tightly woven in our master's program's fabric. This means that at the Urban School, we make real-world practical experience a priority through group projects that we also call capstone projects with partners of the Urban School, learning expeditions. You heard about Mexico, New Delhi, Italy already. We also offer collective inquiries, professional workshops that are taught by practitioners, case studies. This way, our students really learn how to work in a highly collaborative environment as a reflection of their future professional life.
Thank you. So it's pretty clear that professionalization starts at the very beginning of a student's journey at the Sciences Po Urban School. Now, in which sectors and at what positions are graduates recruited?
The Urban School graduates are really well equipped for a wide range of high professional responsibilities, from public to private, non-profit sectors at local, national, and even global levels. Top employers include French or international consulting firms, design offices such as Groupe 8, Utopia, French municipalities, ministries, international organizations. We'll hear in a minute about UCLG, but Clément showed us that we can also join UN agencies like UNDR 2 hours or UN Habitat. We also have graduates working at NGOs like the European Climate Foundation. So it's really showing the variety of careers that are offered after the Urban School. So in terms of sectors of activities, roughly 40% of our graduates, they will join urban planning, housing or real estate jobs. 25%, roughly 1/4, will join the public administration, either in France or internationally. And the rest, they will either work with urban services companies. So they will, for example, with energy issues or transportation, and other will work, of course, with environment and CSR, and also other global opportunities linked with, for example, finance or law jobs. So it's really, really big variety of opportunities.
A wide range of sectors and positions, both in the private and the public sector, in France and internationally. Thank you very much, Cyrielle, for being with us today. Now let's have a word with Cécile, our final guest today. Cécile, thank you for being with us. You are a graduate, a 2021 graduate from the Master in Regional and Urban Strategy. You work at United Cities and Local Governments, UCLG, in Barcelona, Spain. UCLG being a global network of cities and local, regional, and metropolitan governments. You did the Master in Regional and Urban Strategy. Can you tell us about the Master? What would be a memorable thing that you could tell us about it?
Thank you so much for having me today with you, and the conversation is, I hope it is very inspiring to everyone who is following. So I remember many things from the Master, but I particularly remember the mix of critical thinking and actionable learning material, like many mentioned before, the professional dimension of it. And I also remember the possibility to adapt really your trajectory based on your interest, or like to, if you want to discover new things. So for instance, there is in the first year the possibility to follow classes from the I don't know the word in in English actually, but the Formation Académique Commune. And I remember a class on social policies from all around the world, and it really was transformative for me. And in the second year of the master, you can choose classes or like workshops with practitioners. So that would be it.
Thank you very much. So what you mentioned is there are common courses to all students and a way for each student to personalize as much as possible its own academic journey. You work at United Cities and Local Governments in Barcelona, Spain. Could you tell us about the position you hold today? What's your work about?
Yes, so I entered UCLG through an internship, which was the internship I did as part of the second year of the master degree. And I first worked within the research department, and I was a research officer for 2 years after that. And then now I still work on research, but I also joined the policy and partnerships teams. So just as you said, UCLG is the largest organization of local and regional governments around the world. And concretely, we work on a very wide range of topics from the local to the global level. But on my side, I work on inequalities, on youth participation, on gender equality, also poverty, health, climate action, local democracy, etc. And so I do research. I also contribute to defining the advocacy strategies or the narratives around the role of cities and regions and their responsibility. And this advocacy is mainly towards the United Nations and with this objective of reviewing multilateralism so that we make it more inclusive. I also contribute to creating and to expanding partnerships with UN agencies, but also other international organizations and civil society, academia, etc. And this with the idea of catalyzing the power of collective action and with the general aim of achieving the global agendas for sustainable development, such as the 2030 agenda. And I am also part of the NGO CSW Global Youth Fellows for Gender Equality. So we work with many other young professionals and activists from around the world towards the UN Commission on the Status of Women. So it will be organized by UN Women in March.
Cécile, you work as Research and Partnerships Officer, but it's not the first position that you hold at UCLG. You did an internship while studying at the Sciences Po Urban School at UCLG. Were you then recruited prior to graduation?
So I was concretely recruited just right after the graduation because I did this internship, the 6-month internship at the end of the second semester of the second year. And then it was based on this experience and the work I did that I was recruited just in following the internship, let's say. Yeah.
So you mentioned academia, you mentioned the internship you did while at the urban school. What other contributions did the school make to your career?
So it contributed in so many ways, and I'm still uncovering certain things and remembering oh, I studied that, or we talked about that. But I would say that if we come back to how I entered UCLG, which was the research department, I'd say that I had done another master degree at Paris Descartes or University Paris Cité, I guess now, and it was a master degree in research in urban sociology and anthropology. So this was prior to Sciences Po, and I actually chose Sciences Po for the other dimension, the more professional, let's say, compared to research dimension of it. But I did enjoy the field work that we did during certain classes that we already mentioned. So this was very good basis to continue research and research beyond academia per se, I'd say. And then I would like also to mention another very important added value of the master for me, which was the chance to learn about and to meet very different actors, all the actors involved in urban planning, and to have a very broad and a very broad understanding of how urban planning and local governments are so multidisciplinary and multi-stakeholder by nature. Yeah.
A great diversity of actors working in urban planning. That's what you found at the Sciences Po Urban School. Last question, Cécile. Would you have any advice to give to prospective students who would like to join the urban school next year or in the upcoming years and who are watching us today?
So before I have thought of a few advices, but before that, I would say two things that come to my mind. First, that I hope that can help people to better understand what the master can offer. And the first thing is that this master degree, it focuses on French and European context, but it can definitely open to trajectories towards more international perspectives. So just as Cyril mentioned before. And then I think what is very important about this master degree in particular is that it really helps you to understand the current context and the urbanization trends around the world in terms of considering the whole urban-rural continuum and the city-region scale. So that I think is really important. Then in terms of advice, I would just say that you use as much as you can everything that Sciences Po can offer beyond the master per se. Like there are those classes that are like from a common offering between master degrees, but there are also other things. Like I remember joining a writing class. It was with the writer Patrick Chamoiseau, and it was amazing. And I would also say that you try to dive into as many topics and issues as possible in your classes and beyond your first interest or your priorities, because in the end everything is related. So you study health, you study migration or human mobility, you can study democracy, gender equality, and you in the end see how it's related to everything, to peace also. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cécile. So a great diversity of classes, courses, and disciplines. That's what you enjoyed the most at the Urban School. Thank you so much for your testimonial. Dear viewers, now is the time for our Q&A session. Thank you so much for all the questions you've been asking in the chat module of this YouTube Live. We will now answer a few of those questions. And here is the first question from our viewers. First question that maybe Clément could answer. Let me read it out loud for you. In what ways did the Urban School help you build connections with professionals and other sectors? Clément, would you like to answer that question? How did the Urban School help you build connections with professionals?
Yes, well, there were many opportunities during the first year. So we had this study trip to Mexico that I mentioned. We also have a capstone project, which are commissioned by firms and organizations partners to the Urban School, where we realize a project for those organizations, usually a research project or else. So in my case, it was with the Société du Grand Paris on topics of citizen participation in large infrastructure projects, but you had many other possibilities of capstone. And during the second year, the teaching at GLM is very workshop-based. So we have classes provided by professionals in a large diversity of very specific policy issues. So you would have workshop on food production in urban context, on informal settlements, on public health, on big data. So, and you can choose the workshops and so the professionals that you're going to meet during your second year. So definitely a lot of opportunities to meet those professionals in other sectors.
Lots of opportunities. Thank you very much, Clément. Now, a question for Rocio about pursuing a PhD after the master. Let me read out loud the question for you, Rocio. What is the scope to pursue a PhD after doing the Masters in Governing Ecological Transition in European Cities, or the Master Governing the Large Metropolis. What are the PhD pursue opportunities at the Urban School?
Well, I think a PhD, the scope of doing a PhD can vary for sure, depending on each one personal ambition. There is, I think, Cécile was mentioning a lot of research-related jobs related to urban matters that are that we can pursue as graduates of the urban school. And I think having a PhD gives you, of course, a larger package of research skills in order to access these type of jobs. There is obviously the possibility of engaging in academic research after a PhD. So first doing a PhD, maybe after doing a couple of years of postdoc, maybe after joining some research groups in different universities. In my case, for example, it's neither one nor the other. I want to be an urban practitioner. This means still being an urban designer, but I also believe that a PhD and gaining and delving a bit more in depth into a specific topic, such as the one I'm doing, which is social housing transformation, also gives me another set of skills for, in this case, being a practitioner. So many different options, but in many cases, I think they're all of them related to what the urban school is providing in terms of education.
Thank you very much, Rocio. Now a question for Cécile. Cécile, you mentioned how you did a master's prior to the Sciences Po Urban School. I guess you had to choose between several programs offering urban studies. What made you choose the urban school? What made the difference for the urban school? Did you hesitate in between several universities or school or programs?
I don't think I hesitated much, actually, but I did hesitate like between continuing and doing another master degree, or just like entering and finding the jobs and everything. What made me choose to do another master degree was that I really wanted to have those two dimensions in my experience, like learning experience at least, which was the research one, and also the professional dimension that offers Sciences Po, with so many, like we mentioned them a lot, but it's really, I guess, the like one of the most important added values of the trainings that we have, like this way of really understanding professional trajectories, their diversity, and how they're connected to each other. And so you can really understand better how things work concretely on the ground, and taking step by step your part in it. So yeah, that was it, like the complementarity.
Thank you very much, Cécile. And last question, which is, I guess, both for Tommaso and maybe Cyrielle as well. Let me read it out loud for you, Cyrielle. How do you think the Master Governing Ecological Transition in European Cities helps students become impactful professionals? How does the Master prepare for professional life? How does the Master help students become impactful professional? Cyrielle, would you like to start answering, and then Tommaso could conclude?
Yes, a quick word, because of course governing ecological transitions in European cities is a fantastic opportunity for students who want to become impactful professional. First, because of the academia, you have a very high level professors that will teach you some very interesting theoretical knowledge. And with all the practitioners that we are offering, the capstone projects, the learning expeditions, the workshops taught by professionals, you will have the opportunity to apply all this high-level knowledge to the field work, and you get to choose a very detailed curriculum designed towards the ecological transition, which means that you will become an expert in ecological transitions in the global north cities, not only in Europe, but you can also develop these skills in other developed countries, such as North America, Asia. And with all of that, it's it's really an amazing experience with the GTech students who, as Rocio and Clément and Cécile show, come from very various backgrounds, from France, from everywhere around the world, from social sciences, from engineering backgrounds, architects. So even the international and the interdisciplinarity inside the students' body will bring you a lot of richness, lots of skills, hard skills, soft skills. So if you want to be an impactful professional in ecological transitions, of course, we wait for you at GTech. But if you want to work at the urban or regional level, the urban school will bring you all these skills that you'll be looking for.
Thank you so much, Cyril. Tommaso, would you like to add something?
I love the answer of Cyril. I just add one word: systemic literacy. I mean, we're talking about, to be impactful, our students are able to ask the question why. They are not only solution driven, they are not just selling recipe or magic formula. They try to understand what are the failures, the veto players, the difficulties, and looking at problems, asking the question why it doesn't work. They are able to make the difference. Being impactful means engaging in very, very difficult, tiring situation, negotiate, steer and steer and steer. This is why systemic literacy is important. This is why it's ecological transition, but these students know the city, know the political economy of the city, and so they are able to find the spots, the points to activate actionable leverage to make the difference.
Thank you so much, Tommaso. Our information session is now coming to an end. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all viewers on YouTube. We hope that we were able to answer the questions you had on the Sciences Po Urban School. Thank you, Tommaso, for being with us.
Thanks to you.
Cyril, Rocio, Clément, and Cécile for amazing testimonials. We hope to see you all viewers again at Sciences Po soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Hope to welcome you.